I kind of hate myself for what I'm about to do because I'm very big, if you guys know me, on keeping things very simple, especially when I like showcase things on YouTube, talk about Madden, etc., etc. I'm very big on keeping everything really stupid simple, but I do love nerding out about certain things I'm passionate about, and one of those is Madden. In this one, we're going to talk about how to pass the ball in Madden, but really go into kind of the finer, more like schematic details of it. So here it is. You might not believe me when I first say this, but the majority and really the almost every single meta route combo in Madden, unless it was legitimately a glitch like the ad glitch beginning of the year, and even that still, has fallen into following the rules that's laid out right here. Essentially, we have a bunch of different, I don't know if this would be called quadrants or sections, whatever you want to call it, that kind of identify what parts of the field should be attacked in pretty much any single given play. Now, a couple of rules here. Basically, I have a little Twitter thread on this where I talk it through. Not understanding this is why a lot of people struggle putting their own route combos on the field, and they suck, and they throw a lot of picks because of it. They just don't understand this. I'm going to break down what this is. A couple rules really fast that we got to get into. More than one wide receiver should never be in a single section, and if they are in a single section, they should be meshing, which basically means running over top of one another. Think of two drag, think of post slant, meshing over top one another for about a second, right? They really shouldn't be in the same area for more than a second. And then routes should complement each other. So for that to happen, they need to be in kind of adjacent sections. So if you just have one route in yellow on the left here, you have one route in yellow on the right here, and then you have a route in, deep red, and then, in shallow orange right here, they're not really helping each other out a lot. Rather, you'd rather have a route in light blue, yellow, red, and then maybe one that's not adjacent coming back in like deep purple, okay? And I'll explain that a little bit more, right? The majority of route combos that have been meta throughout the years all follow this. They genuinely do. And immediately I'm going to show post slant. This is one of the most common route combos that we see constantly. And you see, even with this style of route combo, this follows this right here. These are the different sections of the field that you want to attack on any given play. Okay, so if we're going to sit here and stare at this, we can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's kind of break it down, what the sections are. And I'm going to do a deeper video on this on my main channel where it's a little bit less like off the top of the head, a little bit more detailed. But I thought this would be a pretty cool thing. First and foremost, on the left side here, we have the shallow flat. Then we're going to have the intermediate flat. This goes anywhere from like 7 yards to really about like 25, 30 yards down the field, okay? It's a pretty big area on the sideline. And then up top, we have the red area of the field, which is just the entire deep part of the field. The reason this is all one giant section and not cut up into thirds like everything else is really on any given play, you shouldn't have two routes attacking this part of the field unless it's a designed bomb, right? Obviously, there's exceptions, but really, unless it's a designed bomb play, very few meta plays have more than one route attacking this deep part of the field with the goal of it to be thrown in this deep part of the field. I'll tell you what I mean by that in a second. We get into the middle. This is where a lot of people have a lot of misconception. A lot of people consider this entire middle one giant thing. It's called, hey, attack the middle of the field. In reality, there's the short seam, which is this orange. There's the intermediate seam. There's the shallow middle. Then there's the intermediate middle. Right, and then you have, obviously, again, the short seam and the intermediate seam again. The reason this is not all one thing is because a route can attack this part and a route can attack this part, right, both in the purple, and not be and complement each other, right? So it wouldn't make sense to have this all be one section because in reality, you could also have a route in the orange right here and then a route in the orange right here, and these routes can actually work hand in hand with one another, so they're not actually occupying the same section. All right, that's a huge deal. Obviously, on the other side, we have the shallow flat, and then the yellow flat again. And a lot of these can be attacked with pretty basic route combos, but I kind of want to give you an idea of what this would look like. So we go into a game right here, and we're actually in practice mode. If we go into something like, let's say, some pretty basic as bunch or wide trail. We'll go wide trail from bunch halfback strong, and we'll put together a route combo that's pretty basic. Let me back up the ball here, and I can kind of show you what this looks like, right? So let's go here, boom, boom, boom. And right now, we essentially have all these areas of the field being hit at different parts, okay, especially on the right side. you see we have the intermediate flat, or we have the short flat being hit by an out route. We have an intermediate flat being hit by this corner route. And then we have the deep red part of the field being attacked by this post route, or rather by the streak route. The post is coming back across kind of the intermediate middle, almost to the deep middle, which I don't love. Ideally, this post would be a little bit shorter. And what you could do is actually, you'd ideally have it like kind of be like an in route like this, and maybe a shallower in route if the play art shows correctly. It doesn't want to show correctly, but it is a shallower in route now. Yeah, so we have a drag route now, et cetera, with the intentions of it being thrown pretty early into the play, right over the middle of the field. Because obviously, in this case, does the drag and the out route technically run into each other? Yes, but not deep enough into the, like, look, the out route, look at the space between the out route and the drag. Like, they don't run into each other. If you know what I'm saying? Like, even though they do, technically the play art runs into each other, they really don't. Another really good example of this is we go into a play like triple out, where, I'm going to recreate a pretty popular route combo that was from Gun Tight Offset this year. I'm just doing it from Bunch Tight End, which is, something like this, where we have that deep corner, shallow corner. Deep corner is attacking that red part of the field that we talked about earlier, and then we have the shallow, which is the short corner in this case, attacking the more intermediate part of the flat. And then, on top of that, we can have a drag from A, and then we have on the backside this in route coming across and following a little bit. Now, if we watch this in route, let's see, that the in route and drag get too close. No, they don't. Plenty of room, so we're fine. This is a pretty good play call. What a lot of people do, though, they have this huge issue where they'll run something like this on the right side, right? Where you have two slants going, and they pretty much occupy the same part of the field throughout. Notice both these slants occupy pretty much exactly the same area of the field all throughout. And then not only that, they also are getting a good amount in the way of this post on the left side where it comes back across. And you can see there's, for the most part of this play, at least 2 wide receivers, if not 3, are within the same area of the field at all times. Right now, like, all of them kind of cross into each other, right? Whereas if you want to see maybe a little bit better way to do this, let's show this, is we could do something like this, where now we're attacking that intermediate middle with X, we're attacking the shallow middle with A, and then we're attacking the right short seam with B. And now watch the spacing. All the routes are way, way, way more spaced out. Again, ideally, that's a little bit shallow over post. I just picked a random play with the post route because you want to make sure he is in that intermediate part. The area of the field between the intermediate deep middle, or the intermediate middle, and the actual deep red part of the field can get kind of skewed based on where you're at in the field, field positioning, what defense they're in, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes that can be a tough place to attack, but it's really, really good. Boom, right here. Jeez, I just threw a pick. Wow. But same idea, we're able to get that spacing, right? Now, something else I kind of wanted to go into was, you can run a route combo like this, but, or rather, let's do something more so that would attack this a little bit better. Let's do something even like this, which isn't a terrible zone. It really isn't the worst zone route combo ever. And the thing is, when you're attacking zone, you can get away with players being stationary. So you can get away with hitches, curls, ghost routes. Really anything like that where the routes are pretty stationary. Whereas when you're playing man coverage, it's very hard to get away with stationary routes. That's something we're going to touch on in the deeper video a lot more. But, and it'd be easier to show kind of, this is one of my favorite route combos in the game, is this right here, where we do something like this. The issue with this is that we have basically 4 routes that are all stationary, that end their route and just sit. Only one route is actually moving. This makes it really bad against man coverage, because to beat man coverage, you actually need to keep moving throughout. Whereas a route combo like this is, let's do something like this. This can be significantly better against man coverage, because now we have 3 routes that are moving against man, and especially we have 2 routes that we know we're going to get open against man coverage almost every single play with the slant and the tight end post. Deep post has the opportunity to attack deep, and et cetera, right? But yeah, literally almost every single meta route combo in Madden history can be dated back to attacking each individual section. Very rarely will you find anything that doesn't. And while those sections can kind of move a little bit depending on the year, how the routes run, what abilities are in the game, et cetera, a good example would be PA boot over. While PA boot over, does this Y route maybe get into the red area of the field that we talked about earlier? Maybe, but they're pretty spaced out between the drag, the Y route, and the X route to where they're all occupying different sections of the field, and it's okay, right? That grid that we showed earlier that I'm gonna bring it back on screen right now is not like the it's not like the end all be all of exactly how everything's spaced out. Rather, it's just kind of guidelines for, because technically, right, the Y route right here ends at like the 20, which should be in the red, but it's spaced out enough with the drag, which is right around here, and the post is around back here, that it's okay, right? That's kind of what I'm more so getting at. But that's kind of a basic, nerdier explanation of stuff. If you guys, let me know if you like kind of me going a little bit more in depth with it. Honestly, you as an individual Madden player never really have to worry about this. Like this is more stuff that kind of subconsciously goes on in my head and other people who kind of invent offenses and stuff like that. That's kind of what goes on in our heads when we're creating the game or creating plays, whether consciously or subconsciously, right? Because I really don't think about it too much anymore. It's just kind of like, I just know it, right? It's muscle memory. But if you're someone who wants to understand route combos a little bit better, you want to understand how to make, your own route combos, why different things work, this is a very basic kind of rundown of how these things operate and why you'll see some route combos be really, really bad and some route combos be really, really good. It's kind of a very basic idea of that. And yeah, like I said, again, some people are going to think it's too complicated or it's just irrelevant, and sure. But the overwhelming fact of the matter is that this is how every route combo in Madden follows the rules. Every good route combo in Madden, pretty much, unless it's been a glitch, follows the rules that I've just kind of demonstrated. Another one I want to show really fast, this is the last one I'll kind of go with real fast, is if we go into verticals, right? Technically, A and B both attack the red part of the field, right? Technically, they both attack super deep. The reality is, though, that's not really where you're aiming to throw them, right? You're looking to throw B pretty fast, and you're looking to throw both of them kind of soon and kind of early into the play, and you're not trying to get them to, you're not really aiming to throw B 40 yards downfield typically. And this, technically, you can say it's an exception to the rule, but even with something like, you'll see people call 4 verticals, which immediately some people are going to say, oh, this is a huge exception. Even still, the purpose of, a lot of people calling 4 verts, let's go into trio offset weak. The majority of the time, 4 verts is meant to be, I'm not playing a good defense, is meant to be thrown in the seams, though, right? A lot of times, that is where people are throwing 4 verts, whether it's B over the middle, whether it's Y in the seams. And again, still, you technically have 3 routes here that are attacking the red. In reality, they're more so attacking and looking to be actually lethal in the kind of more intermediate part of the field. That really is, like, if you're looking to throw Y, a lot of times you got to throw it right here. Obviously, it's not, verticals isn't good against man coverage. But you guys have seen that throw get made, a million times throughout every year of Madden. Very rarely are you looking for Y deep, X deep, and B super deep. It doesn't happen too often. And again, sometimes, there are situations, right? This is, again, kind of that intermediate seam. There are situations where maybe you are taking a bomb play, but again, most of the time your play calls aren't bombs. They're more so taking advantage of kind of that those underneath intermediate to shallow areas we're talking about. Yeah. So if you enjoyed the video, actually let me know. 'Cause I'd love to go a little bit nerdier and deeper in some of our videos. But if you thought this was too complicated, let me know. And yeah.